Yes, the great Dan Bungie. Oh, man, it is so good to have you here on KCMO Talk Radio. 95.7 FM. We're streaming on the KCMO Talk Radio app. We're glad that you are here. It's slick out there this morning. Road closures and ramp closures. And on top of that, you've got school closures this morning. The Dan Bungie reference, just in case you missed it. Who do we have in on Monday there, Mark?
Stan Weber.
Stan was outstanding. He did a great job filling in for Kevin Keatsman. But one of the great lines that came out of his fill-in spot for Kevin was at the end of the show, as he's getting set to hand it off to Dan Bongino. Well, he handed it off to a different guy.
Dan Bungie.
That's right. And that has been just a good laugh around the radio station for the last couple of days. But Stan's the man. He did an outstanding job, but that one will live in infamy here at KCMO.
He had some great interviews. I posted them on Kevin's page if you guys want to go listen to them.
They're on the Kevin Keatsman Uncanceled podcast page, so go check them out. Lamar Hunt Jr., and there were a bunch of other really good interviews on that show.
Jason Candle, he was the coach of the Toledo, I can't remember their mascot now.
What are they, the Rockets or something?
Something like that, yeah. He coached Kareem Hunt, and he was college roommates with Nick Sirianni, the head coach of the Eagles, so that was pretty interesting.
Very cool. Well, yeah, Toledo Rockets. So there you go. Now, I need your help with this here on KCMO. This feels like an easy bet to win. I just don't know if I want to take somebody's money this quickly and this easily, especially somebody I don't know. But I told you when we broke the news here on KCMO on Monday morning that former Royals general manager and team president Dayton Moore is looking at and considering a run for governor of Kansas. He still is a Kansas resident. This is home for him. He is doing work, of course, with the Texas Rangers as a special advisor. But he is considering a run for governor. And we broke that 6 a.m. Monday morning right here on 95.7 FM. I gave you all my thoughts about that on Monday morning. You can find that on the podcast from Monday. But I shared it also on X when the news broke on this show. And an Overland Park councilman, his name is Drew Matrison, he responded to the post on X, and he wrote, "Rich Republican white men paying Jeff Rowe," who is the founder of Axiom Strategies, a big political firm that started here in Kansas City and now is nationwide, $3 million to get 2% of the primary vote. He said, "Pete, let's make a deal. If Dayton runs and gets in the top 3 in the primary, I'll donate $100 to the GOP nominee. If he doesn't, you throw in $100 to the Democrat. Top 3. Deal?" I think that's easy money. I also don't love to place bets because the last political bet I placed, I lost. And it resulted in Mark having to videotape me running a naked lap around the radio station after Sharice Davids blew out Amanda Atkins in the 2022 3rd District race that I said would be at least single digits. It turned out to be, a 12, 14-point win for Sharice. So I'm not dying to make another political bet. I certainly don't want to lose to an Overland Park councilman I couldn't pick out of a lineup. But at the same time, I'm happy to help the cause here as best I can, and $100 is still $100, and I think this is easy money. If Dayton Moore gets in, he'll be in the top 3. There's no doubt in my mind, John.
I'm trying to understand the target of his derision there.
I don't know. Yeah, a rich white guy. I mean, he's a white guy, by the way, in case you're wondering.
I know. We talked about that the other day, so I thought, okay, there's that. But is he just not into Dayton Moore?
Well,
Axiom?
Here's what he said.
All the above?
I would say all the above is the answer there.
Apparently.
But he said, "Pete, my offer stands. There's no way Dayton gets top 3. Don't think he has it in him to get in the mud and compromise his values in what's going to be a nasty primary." See, I don't know how nasty it's really going to be. I wonder if a guy like Dayton Moore gets in, it clears the field more than people expect. Because here's the thing about Dayton Moore, and I know him as a friend, and I'll say this much about him. He's not going to get in and slapstick this thing together. Be like, all right, I'm going to run for governor. What do I do now? Like, he's not set to announce. He may not do it. I don't know. Maybe it's 50-50 at this point. But as I told you on Monday, he is touring the state and going around the state, meeting with key people, meeting with important groups around the state of Kansas that he doesn't know, and he's trying to get a lay of the land. If he does it, it will be done in a way, just like you build a baseball team. It will be structured. It will be well thought out. It won't be this slapstick, hey, I'm a famous guy and I'm bored. I'm going to run for office. That's not what's going to happen here.
When politicians do what he's doing, they call it forming an exploratory committee.
Correct.
But Dayton's not a politician, so he's just checking it out himself.
Exactly. And there is no official committee. It's just a guy going around the state and saying, hey, do I want to do this? Can I help the state of Kansas break out of this mediocre string it's been in? And listen, you got to look at it from a political perspective too and say the fact that he has no ties to anything Sam Brownback is a good thing. I think Sam Brownback's a good man who had good intentions for the state. But every time Kansas Republicans lose a race that is either 50-50 or is a tough one to win, what you've seen the last few years is it's always tied to someone who's got Brownback ties. I mean, that's the main thing that Kansas Democrats can run on against a Kansas Republican, whether it's statewide or in the 3rd District, is, well, we had lunch with Brownback back in 2010. I don't even know if Dayton Moore's met him. I don't have a clue. So if nothing else, I feel like I'm taking candy from a baby here if I place this bet, which now that I've got 3 little kids, I kind of feel bad doing. So that's why I'm on the fence on this
Tough
whole
week
thing.
With this empathy thing this week.
I know.
Let me talk to you after the show.
I know. Smack some sense into me, John. I'm getting soft here. Maybe it's having 3 little girls at home. I don't know.
But look at it this way. Maybe there's no bet to be made, right?
Yeah.
So it's a contingency.
Yeah.
I think you're safe in your contingency.
I think so as well.
Yeah.
People asking on the text line if Gomer Pyle is going to be running again. No, I think Gomer's days are over, okay? Gomer's maybe seen the light. He's done. It's not happening. But I think there will be probably 5 legitimate candidates-ish. Maybe it's 4, maybe it's 6 that jump into this Kansas governor's race. But if Dayton Moore does ultimately get in, and a lot of big money is kind of waiting on him to get in, and they've maybe pledged their money to him if he does get in, then that will hurt other people who want to get into the race. And trust me, there are plenty of names of prominent people who want to get into the race. I mean, you can right now you've got Scott Schwab in there, who's the current Kansas Secretary of State. You will hear other people rumored about that have been reported on as well. There's Senate President Ty Masterson, who's getting some attention, former Governor Jeff Collier. You will hear more names get talked about in the weeks and months ahead. But if a guy like Dayton Moore gets in there may be people who say, hey, I'm going to roll with him and see how it goes in a general election. And I don't think the Democrats in a general election would have a chance. What are you going to run against Dayton Moore on? He didn't want young men watching pornography when he was the GM of the Royals? Wow, sounds awfully noble. I know there's a bunch of horn dogs on Twitter who are like, I need my porn, man. How dare Dayton take away my porn? Great. Kansas Democrats, you can have the porn fiend vote, and you can run with that all day. Run on pornography being great for young men.
Reminded me of the commercial of if Republicans get in office. Remember?
The
politician appearing in that guy's bedroom. And, what? Who are you?
That's right. I forgot about that.
Silliest thing.
Well, that worked out.
That'll come back.
That worked out well for him, right? This time around.
Yeah, that's true.
So please, take all the porn-addicted 22-year-old losers sitting in their mom's basement and try to win a governor's race with them as your backbone. See how that goes for you. I don't know what else they're going to use against a guy like Dayton. Maybe he met Sam Brown. Maybe he might have shaken Sam Brownback's hand once, at a baseball game. That might be enough for him to run against him on. But either way, they're grasping at straws here. And I do think he'd get to the point where he would easily be top 3 in a primary. So just give me feedback on the text line. I think I'm talking myself into taking the bet, and I'm feeling like I should. I just want to make sure the guy's good for his money because I don't know him. And I don't want to have to go to Overland Park City Council meetings and start shaking down councilmen for $100. I don't have time to do that. So that's where I got to figure out whether or not this guy's good for it because I don't know him. Drew Matrison, Overland Park councilman, and wants to bet me $100 on Dayton Moore finishing top 3 in the Kansas gubernatorial primary if he does get in. Just feel like it's a no-brainer. And then John will slap me around and make me realize that it's okay to take candy from a baby once in a while. It's okay.
Noisy babies.
Yes, noisy ones, true. And I got plenty of those.